Good morning. Hello. Good morning. How are we doing this morning? Good, good. My name is Mary Ann Johnson. I am president of the Northern Dutchess Alliance. I would like to welcome you here this morning. Thank you for coming bright and early. I am grateful there is no snow. If you remember last March, I think we had quite a few nor'easters come our way, and I think we dodged a bullet earlier this week. So very happy about that. For those of you who don't know us, the Northern Dutchess Alliance is a nonprofit that's been around for close to 20 plus years, according to my friend Melanie. We were created to foster regional cooperation with 10 municipalities here in Northern Dutchess, as well as promote economic development, while maintaining, here's the challenge, while maintaining our community character. So before we get started with our program, I'd like to call up our county executive, Mark Molinaro. Like Mark said, if there was more than 2 people in a room, he's willing to give a speech. I didn't even realize it was that high. I thought it was 1.
Marianne gets to say that because I hired her. I appreciate it. I have fond memories of the birth of the Northern Dutchess Alliance. So yes, however many decades ago, the northern corner of Dutchess County was struggling to really identify its place in Dutchess, to have a unified voice in Dutchess County, and to be able to speak on behalf not only of the communities, the governments, but really the people of in particular, northwestern Dutchess County. And out of that desire, the Northern Dutchess Alliance was born. I don't want to tell you that I was the first president of the Northern Dutchess Alliance, but I was. We were moderately successful. I would say over the last 20 years, the organization has become truly successful, speaking on behalf of this corner of Dutchess in an important way. This particular breakfast has become sort of obviously a tradition to acknowledge individuals in our community like Mr. Golden and of course our friends at the Hudson River Estuary for really, I guess charting a course is one of the awards, but for charting a course for this part of the community. And I can only tell you that Dutchess County as a whole has benefited from your willingness, community leaders, business leaders, government leaders, your willingness to work together to speak on behalf of this community. So on behalf of Dutchess County, Marianne, thank you for all the work that you have continued to do. Thanks to the leadership of the Northern Dutchess Alliance, I consider you all, I hope you might consider me a friend, but I consider all of you friends. I've lived in this part of Dutchess. It has defined who I am as a dad, who I am as a husband, and who I am as an elected official. And this part of Dutchess County is always in need of a unified voice. And the Northern Dutchess Alliance creates the platform where people can put aside differences. We live in a time where it seems we are obsessed with our differences, put aside differences and focus on common needs like the shared environment, like our shared economy, and like our shared social fabric. And for that, the Northern Dutchess Alliance should be celebrated. And I, for one, remain an enthusiastic fan. Now, with that, it is true that if one or more are gathered together, I might speak, but my son Jack doesn't really want to listen to anything I have to say. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. You've got a long way to go with Jack, by the way. I'd also like to call up Brennan Carney. Brennan is the new Dutchess County legislator from District 11. She will do a welcome from Rhinebeck.
No problem. Thank you to the Northern Dutchess Alliance for that nice welcome. I wanted just to welcome you all on behalf of Rhinebeck. We always love having this event here and celebrating the work that the Alliance does. And I wanted to personally offer, and on behalf of Rhinebeck, congratulations to John Golden and the Hudson River Estuary today. And I'm looking forward to hearing Historic Red Hook and the Bard Center for Civic Engagement today. So a warm welcome to everyone. Good to see you this morning. Thanks.
Well done, thank you. I don't know, you didn't take a page out of Mark's book, right?
That's my page.
I just want to say this year, for the first time, we used the online registration system, which I hope worked well for everyone. I know the town of Red Hook seemed to be a little challenged by that, and I can harass them because it's my town. Yes, thank you, Robert. There you go. So I'm looking down the registration list, and I only see Mr. McKeon, our supervisor, is there, and I thought, wow, that's odd. We usually get, Sue McCann and a couple of town board members, and boy, this is really strange. That cheap whatever, he's not letting them come. Ray Oberly goes to our mailbox for the Northern Dutchess Alliance, and he calls me up and he says, I got a check from Red Oak. They're sending 5 people. I'm like, 5 people? This was like the day the count was due here. Turns out it was Sue McCann and Teresa and all my friends back there. So I hope for the rest of you it worked out well. I know for Red Hook apparently it was a little challenging, but that's okay. We'll get you next year. We normally do group introductions. We have people just stand, say who you are and where you're from, so you can kind of get to know your neighbor a little bit. In this age of social media and Twitter and, Instagram and all that fun stuff, I feel like there's less social interaction going on. So I'm really happy to have this breakfast where we can learn and meet our neighbors. So we're going to take a second. Maybe we'll start with, how about this table?
So I'm Ellen Henry. I'm with Winnicky Land Trust, and I'm also on the board of the Northern Dutchess Alliance. So welcome.
Ray O'Reilly, Supervisor, Town of Clinton, and Treasurer for NDA.
Good morning, Dean Michael. I'm Councilman Town of Clinton.
Good morning, Alyssa Kogan, 32-year resident of the town of Clinton, and I'm on the staff of Senator Susie.
Good morning, Sue Serino, Senator from the district, and I am a member of Northern Dutchess Alliance, and I'm so thrilled to be here for Mr. Hyde Park.
And I'm Claudine Close, and you will hear from me soon.
And I'm Christopher Close, and you won't hear from me.
I'm Bonnie Goad. I'm from the Bard College Center for Civic Engagement.
I'm Jen Buri-Dacunia, and I'm from Ramapo for Children here in Rhinebeck.
I'm Erin Canan. I'm from Red Hook Together and the Bard Center for Civic Engagement.
I'm Stella Stavro. I'm from Bard College, and I wrote the case study on Northern Dutchess Alliance and Red Hook Together.
Shirley Jones, resident of Clinton, and this is my 3rd breakfast.
Yes. Yeah, Jonathan Becker, this is my first breakfast today and ever. And I'm from Bard College.
I'm George Yan, and I'm flying the flag of the Red Hook Stamp Trotters, which is an aging group of philatelists that meets twice a month in Red Hook.
We've got a very interesting crowd today. This is great.
Curtis, can I pass it off to you? Or? There we go.
Good morning. I'm Curtis Schmidt. I'm the General Manager of the Northern Southern Dutchess News. And just a quick save the date since I'm sitting at the Hyde Park table. Save the date, we're doing a bridal show at Capolo's Sunday, March 31st. Invite everyone. Thank you.
Hi, Emily Spenson, Hyde Park Downtown Initiative Coordinator.
Joe Marine, Hyde Park Town Board, Ward 3.
David Ray, Hyde Park Town Board, Ward 2. Nice to be here to honor Rudd Golden, who I've known forever, and with the rest of the Hyde Park group.
Good morning, Ken Schneider, Deputy Supervisor, Town of Hyde Park.
Good morning, Aileen Rohr, Town Supervisor of Hyde Park, and honored to be here to recognize our wonderful friend, John Golden.
Fran Dunwell, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Hudson River Estuary Program. We're one of your honorees today.
Good morning. I'm Elaine Rockcamp with Dutchess Tourism, congratulating fellow Syracuse alum John Golden on his award today. Go Orange. And if we're doing commercials, Mary Kay Verba is doing a presentation on all the research that we did last year. I hope you'll join us on March 19th at Locust Grove.
Hi, good morning. Victoria Polidoro from Rodenhausen Shawl in Polidoro.
Hello, I'm Howie Trout, Rhinebeck Village Board member for 10 years.
I'm Lisa Whalen from the Bard College Center for Civic Engagement. I'm also on the Town of Red Hook Greenways and Trails Committee.
Nick Oscienzo, I run a nonprofit in the Red Hook area, and I also will be parked back there today. For Aaron, I'll have your teleprompter ready for you.
Hi, I'm Dawn Jardine from Red Hook Public Library. It's really nice to see all of you in one place this morning.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Del Priori from the Tivoli Public Library, and this is really great. Thanks for having me.
I'm Brent Kowalczyk, Deputy Mayor, Village of Red Hook, and on the Executive Board of the Northern Dutchess Alliance.
Hey, good morning. Ed Blondell, Red Hook Village Mayor.
Robert McKeon, the challenged Town Supervisor of Red Hook. I can identify with Mark's comments. My community involvement started many years ago because my 3 daughters didn't listen to me either. Yeah.
Good morning, Christine Kane, Town Board of Red Hook.
Thank you. Coming to our back table here. Who would like to start? Have a volunteer? There we go.
Hi, I'm Kim McGrath with the Red Hook Chamber of Commerce, and I'm late, and Astor Services for Children and Families as well.
Good morning. I'm Betty Schlicht, Omega Institute, new Community Engagement Manager.
Liz Roger, Business Banking Officer for Rhinebeck Bank and the President of John Golden's Fan Club.
Sharon Whiteley, Branch Manager, the Hyde Park Branch for Rhinebeck Bank.
Good morning. I'm Will Tatum, and I'm your Dutchess County Historian.
Good morning. John Sabia. I'm the Vice President of Medical Affairs and practicing ER physician at Northern Dutchess Hospital. Good friend of John Golden, resident of Hyde Park, and been at the hospital 32 years.
Hi, I'm Dawn Morrison. I'm the Executive Director of the Northern Dutchess Hospital Foundation, and we are really happy to be here and to be able to see the Goldens that we haven't seen for a while. So.
Good morning. I'm Colleen Cruikshank, Rhinebeck resident. I work at Northern Dutchess Hospital Foundation office. I'm also on the board of Dutchess Tourism and the Dutchess County Planning Board.
Hi, I'm Becky Thornton. I'm with Dutchess Land Conservancy, and Brad Kendall's on our board. That means I have to behave myself because he's one of my bosses.
Good morning. I'm Laura Heedy. I'm with the Hudson River Estuary Program.
Claudia Cooley, and I'm on the Dutchess County Agricultural Society, as well as affiliated with CO, the new working space in Rhinebeck.
Good morning. I'm Chris Kennan from the Northern Dutchess Village of Millerton and on the Town Board of Northeast.
Yes. Do it again, Mark. I'm still Mark Molinaro. I'm a 30-year Red Hooker. No. Red Hooker. I have to make sure the emphasis on the right syllable.
Morning, I'm Rebecca Gospel. I grew up in Northern Dutchess. Now I work for Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett, so I'm here on her behalf.
Hi, I'm Dara Cloud, Town Supervisor of Pine Plains, which is located in Northern Dutchess.
I don't think you need me to do it again. Here we go. Oh!
Good morning.
None of you.
I'm Ruth Moore. I'm the Executive Director at Cornell Cooperative Extension, Dutchess County.
Hi, I'm Heather LaBarnway, Senior Planner with Dutchess County Planning.
Hi, I'm Sue McCann, Town Clerk for the Town of Red Hook.
Teresa Burke, Town of Red Hook Highway Superintendent.
Harry Colgan, I'm resident of Tivoli and proud of it, and also on the town board in Red Hook and proud of that as well.
And I'm Chris Shaw with Rodenhausen Shaw in Polidoro.
I'm Art Collings, Vice President for Dutchess Land Conservancy.
Good morning, Carl Meyer, Winnicky Board, and definitely want to congratulate John Golden, who's a longtime environmental steward as well as a supporter of Winnicky.
I'm Sarah Olson, Interim Director of the Winnicky Land Trust and a resident of Rhinebeck.
Hey, Sarah's flocked together. I'm Sarah Imboden. I'm on the town board of Red Hook, and I represent Red Hook on the Northern Dutchess Alliance. I was helping check you in this morning. Sorry for our confusing list. And I'm a grants officer at Bard College as well. So let me hand this off to you.
All right, we're going to save the best for last for coming around here. We'll start with my friend Bill.
Oh, okay. Bill Jeffway, town of Milan. Milan, I mean.
Melody Moore, I'm an officer in the Northern Dutchess Alliance, member of the Ag Society, Rhinebeck Planning Board, and the and Dutchess County Historical Society.
Hi, I'm Lenny Miller, Gentle Giants 4-H Club.
Janine Armbruster, town of Clinton, and I'm the real president of the John Golden Fan Club.
Gloria Golden from Hyde Park. This is my husband.
Liz Hilton, Hyde Park, daughter of John and Gloria Golden.
And John Golden, forever a Hyde Parker. There you go.
Thank you, John. Like I said, we were saving the best for last here. This morning, you're going to hear some information about our blueprint for economic development. This was a publication project of the Northern Dutchess Alliance that is about 10 years old now. And it was really based on the premise of fostering local economic development, which means we were trying to say people should capture or make purchases for their local needs in their local community to the extent that that is possible. We're also supporting the theory that dollars spent locally are recirculated in your own community. They're not, sent off to some national corporation to be spent maybe in some other state. It encouraged the development of value-adding industries for local products, which complement the community character. And in my day job, I am Deputy Director of the Hudson Valley Agribusiness Development Corporation. So value-added farm products are near and dear to our heart. And I am happy to say that over the past 10 years or so, we have seen an increase in farms adding some new enterprises that allow them to expand their profitability and make some more money for the farm, which has been fantastic. And lastly, and I mentioned this earlier, it was really all about trying to keep your community's uniqueness and maintain your own standing while you were trying to figure out how to support your local community and not necessarily become one of those communities that looks like every other one when you drive down the highway in my great state of New Jersey. So to that end, we're going to hear from Bill Jeffway and Claudine Close from Historic Red Hook, who are going to tell us how they are using the blueprint in their current project. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you. I think...
You want to use that one?
Yeah, I just need to switch this. Bear with me while I end one show and start another.
I will do that. We have reprinted the blueprint. Unfortunately, again, I had a hectic 24 hours. I forgot to bring them today. However, if you would like them, please let us know, and we will put a copy in the mail to you or drop it off because you're all pretty local, and we can get you a copy of that. It is also available online at northerndutchessalliance.org, and you can download that beautiful picture.
Okay. And when Marianne, yes, there you go. Thank you for the big reveal. I'll introduce us a little bit in a minute, but I wanted to exactly talk about what Marianne mentioned.
a year ago, we were talking here about branding and messaging, and we felt the stakeholders of the Northern Dutchess Alliance, when asked what one of their major issues was how to talk about the area, what to say, whether words like branding came up, messaging, and so on. And this really is a kind of response to that. I joined the Northern Dutchess Alliance just over a year ago. I had been with historic Red Hook maybe a couple of years, so a little bit longer. But this really is just a simple case study that I offer for what it's worth about how the blueprint helped inform historic Red Hook. Who else but a historian would use the word whither, right? So whither Northern Dutchess, where are we going? And I would like to suggest that there is an advantage to having one song sheet. If we are a community, then it is important to know who we are, how we behave, what we believe, what makes us distinct. I feel like I need to declare my biases, right? Both my experience shows what I kind of what my biases are, and then a little bit like the lens through which I see things. So I've been on the Milan Town Board for some time. I worked on the comprehensive plan in 2003. I was the historian for some time. I'm also director of the Dutchess County Historical Society. I'm on the Black History Project Committee. I'm a trustee of Historic Red Hook, which is what's important here, and founded the Milan Historical Society. I just state that because what you're going to see is, through my world, the importance of history and community. I'd like to introduce Claudine because she's too modest, I think, sometimes to say what I think is extraordinary about her, but she leads an organization called Historic Red Hook that really has roots in two organizations. I think everyone knows, whether it's business or a nonprofit, how hard it is to bring two groups together, and I would argue she's done that brilliantly, and she's going to talk about that. But the organization is at an inflection point, and enabled by her wonderful husband. They both really had set, well before I arrived, Historic Red Hook on a course that was very community-based. This is Claudine and Chris's very personal feeling and commitment as well that drives that. They were down the road some way where I thought, hey, I think there's something from Northern Dutchess that can help in your efforts to bring a greater sense of community to Red Hook. What kind of community do we want? There are some good things, some middling things, some difficult things. I think you can't overstate enough the importance of New York being a home rule state, which allows each town to really define its future through the comprehensive planning process and so on. So that gets a big green light. Kind of a cautionary light. Our brand and reputation sits within the context of other geographic entities and things, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then I think where you really have to stop, and what this blueprint helps allow, is to pull out the good things and exclude the bad things. And that's a process of community engagement in defining what we want the community to be. I like to put these other things here because, you know, New York State has a reputation. The Hudson River Valley has a reputation. Our county has a reputation. Towns have a reputation. I couldn't help but put the Rhinebeck wedding in. When I was campaigning, going door to door, I met quite a few, well, at least a handful of people who said they moved to this area because they first heard about it because of the Clinton wedding. So you never know. Then we have strong brands like Bard that are even sitting within a town. So I say all of that just as I came up with this just this morning. I think brilliant. Draw from the best, exclude the rest. I'm going to make little stickers. But when you draw from the best, you have to draw from what already exists. We can't do it in a vacuum. I told you I focused a little bit on land use. I wanted to mention just a few of the things that didn't happen. History is often about what happened. I wanted to talk a bit about what didn't happen. This is the 1949 Daily Freeman, and they were contemplating at the time replacing the Taconic with a 6-lane highway that would connect the George Washington Bridge, pass through Dutchess, Putnam, and Westchester. So we were really, there was a plan there to put us on a path to have exactly what we have on the west side of the river. Another thing that didn't happen, The original plan of the Kingston-Rhinecliff Bridge was that it would be designed as a suspension bridge in the model of the Mid-Hudson Bridge in Poughkeepsie, and that also it would go directly downtown into Rhinebeck through Rhinecliff. So it would connect downtown Kingston to downtown Rhinebeck. So imagine a 6-lane highway, and then like Poughkeepsie, you come into Rhinebeck and you have the spaghetti loops to get you to the 6-lane highway. But that's not enough. There was a plan, of course, to put a nuclear power plant in Red Hook. I don't know the details and the ins and outs, but I just mentioned 3 things that didn't happen that perhaps, maybe, we're lucky for. Power plants, 6-lane highways, and bridges through the center of town. Where are we going? Who's we? I worked for 30 years in advertising. We used to call this a brand audit. Like, audit. Think about who are we? What are we about? What do we believe and behave? Well, the good news is that that work really is what the blueprint I found was about. And through the collaboration of the Historic Red Hook Board, we looked at the blueprint and pulled out certain items that we felt were very relevant. And I think at this point, this is where I hand over to Claudine to talk specifically about what Historic Red Hook did.
Hey, thank you, Bill.
I'll press the button if you want.
You press the button. Okay, all right. It's great to be here. On a personal note, I come to this field, honestly, having spent most of my career at the Smithsonian's American History Museum, but I don't think that I understood until I came to live in this community full-time 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, how important history is to a local community, and how it really forms the foundation for what ties a community together. So until I immersed myself in all of the stories that represent Red Hook, I really didn't appreciate it. This is going back a little bit. I think most of you know the Elmendorf Inn. It was saved as a result of a community effort. Back in the 1960s, another iconic building in Red Hook had been lost, the Red Hook Hotel that had been standing on the corner of the Four Corners since 1798 was torn down. And I think the citizens really felt that that was finally they got smart, and they realized that that was a bad thing. So when the Elmendorf was threatened with being turned into a parking lot by the Grand Union, they got together a group called the Friends of Elmendorf, and they managed to purchase and save and restore the Elmendorf Inn, which is Red Hook's oldest public building.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Another entity that was formed in the 1970s, was the Egbert Benson Historical Society. So on the one hand, you had the historic landscape being preserved, the beginnings of that, and then on the other hand, you had the local records, the stories of Red Hook being preserved. They actually were housed on the second floor of the Elmendorf Inn. I guess it's just as easy for me to do. So that's where I got involved just before Red Hook's bicentennial. And in 2012, we really had put together an all-out effort to celebrate Red Hook's history and heritage. And there was a real synergy between the Friends of Elmendorf and the Egbert Benson Historical Society. So my husband and I, who were both very involved at the time, looked at these two organizations and said, why are they two? Why are they not one? We're competing for volunteers, we're competing for dollars. Why don't we see about combining the two? So the Egbert Benson Historical Society and the Friends of Elmendorf were consolidated officially in 2013. And we renamed it Historic Red Hook. So 5 years later, I think it's a stronger organization. And from that position of strength, we were presented with an offer that we felt we could not refuse. A longtime supporter offered a matching gift of $160,000 to help us purchase the building right next door to the Elmendorf Inn, and thus protecting us from perhaps having an unwelcome neighbor built there. And we saw immediately an opportunity to form a community campus and expand the impact that we could have as our organization, Historic Red Hook. So we decided to launch a campaign to help make this happen. So this is a little graphic of what our campus is going to look like. The Elmendorf Inn, of course, is this is going to really set the stage for the Elmendorf Inn and improve the appearance. We're going to move the parking lot, the ugly parking lot that's right behind it, to behind the Cherry Street building. So it won't be, it really will offset the Elmendorf Inn in a better way. You know that we do own also, yes?
Pointed out on the screen, it's not doing any good. Oh.
Do we have a pointer? Oh, he can be my pointer. Okay.
For a reason.
Okay. So we have, so the little building that we're purchasing is 5 Cherry Street. We already own the carriage barn that's up at the top.
Yeah, not really.
So
Back here.
this whole community campus is going to be centered on a green, which is going to be a large lawn that we can use for outdoor programming, picnicking, concerts. It's really going to be a place where the community can come together. And it'll serve the purpose of a village green. There are other places that we call the village green, but this is going to be the Elmendorf green. So what we think we can do with this expanded campus is do more collaborative and sort of co-created experiences in this little Cherry Street building. We have a whole first floor to do this. One of the disadvantages of having our archives up on the second floor of the Elmendorf is that there's a very narrow 18th century staircase, which is very hard for people to access sometimes. So so it does limit what we can do. The Elmendorf Inn is used quite a lot, but this is going to allow us to create some new exhibit area, accessible archives, and a story studio, an oral history studio. And the lawn is just going to be terrific for, as I said, more outdoor festivities, celebrations of all kinds. We hope to, we are going to open Memorial Day. That's our goal. And the first floor of the exhibit is going to be devoted for the first phase of this by an exhibit that actually Bard students are putting together on Alexander Gilson, who was an African-American gardener at Montgomery Place. And he was born a slave. He became the head gardener. He had a couple of flowers, begonias, named after him. And he retired and then moved into the village of Red Hook and is buried in the little cemetery right down the road from Cherry Street. So it's really a very interesting story. And we're going to tie it in with some other things that we're doing. It's a real pleasure to be able to work with Bard. This extra space, I think, we've always liked to work with Bard and with other organizations in the town. This just gives us more possibilities. Memorial Day, obviously, is we're going to be working with the VFW as we have in the past. And we've done oral histories with them, and we will continue to do that as well. So we hope that this campaign, which is right now in the silent phase, but we plan to announce it publicly very soon, will allow us to have more influence beyond just the town of Red Hook. And I know that we believe that history is important to social and economic development, but I'm not sure everybody understands. Some people just think it's very indirect. But I hope that this will allow us to show how it is really the groundwork of a community. It's a catalyst for economic growth because we think that people are attracted to communities that have saved their heritage, their historic landscapes, and that have a strong historic identity. So that's our hope. We were so pleased to find the 2008 blueprint. It was something I wasn't familiar with. My husband, who's been working on the EDC, knew about it, but when I was looking for language and work that had been done before that would help us make our argument, it was all there. Marianne Johnson, I think, came to a Red Hook Together meeting and talked about this, and all the language that we needed to sort of reinforce what we were trying to do was all there. The Elmendorf had been mentioned in the 2008 blueprint, and the very first principle is listed: restore, preserve, and protect natural and cultural heritage. So it was just terrific to have that as a guiding document. So in sum, I think that as we are at a crossroads, we know that we don't want to develop the way Southern Dutchess was developed. We want to grow differently. We want to encourage our rural identity, our rural traditions, our villages, our hamlets, and take advantage of the incredible institutions that are in the area, the Bard College and the Culinary Institute of America, the Red Hook Central School, which we do work with quite frequently, and avoid that kind of willy-nilly sprawl that nobody really wants to see in this area. And I think what we offer, what Historic Red Hook can offer, is a return to that kind of authentic person-to-person experience that people crave these days, and help them find their own identity within their community. So that's my goal.
And I just point out the language that Claudine's been mentioning is literally lifted from the business case that Historic Red Hook puts out to solicit gifts and donations and earn the trust and respect of potential donors. So the language really was able to inform the message that Historic Red Hook takes out when seeking financial support. And I think we're going to take questions.
Yeah, questions, comments? Comments? Comments?
You want me to comment?
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's a great idea.
There you go.
How will you solicit funds from everyone?
Passing a hat right now.
We've been doing person-to-person fundraising so far, but we are about to launch a broad campaign across all of our social media, website, every form of media possible.
But isn't it true that the support for this this extraordinary building and the community of Red Hook has been a cooperative and community and a conservative approach for more than 45 years now?
Yes, much the same way that the Elmendorf was saved. He does great prompting. He does.
In other words,
yes.
It's the March of Dimes.
But they didn't have social media back then. But definitely the Elmendorf was saved with contributions, both time and financial volunteer effort from everybody in the community. It was amazing, just an amazing effort. So we want to do that again. I'm also proud to say that we've raised half of the $160,000 matching grant already. So I think we're off to a good start.
We just want to leave you with the thought that it's worth taking a look at the blueprint to see if we can base ourselves in a common understanding of who we are, where we want to go.
I just want to say congratulations on launching your capital campaign. That's exciting.
Thank you.
And I know you said you got the $160,000 seed. What is the overall goal?
We have a longer term goal, but we don't have a figure attached to it.
Okay.
We have grander plans.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else?
All right. There you go.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that all of our communities probably have a gem like the Elmendorf Inn and Historic Red Hook that they could capitalize on and have capitalized on over the years. And I would encourage people to take another look at the blueprint and see how it can be helpful to you. No, now we're going to Aaron.
Wrong. Can't even do that. Okay.
So while the pointer is working on the presentation, I'd like to take a moment to introduce Stella Starbo and Aaron Canan from Bard College. They are going to talk about Red Hook Together. This organization, or loose group of organizations, I'm not quite sure how you refer to, coalition, collaborative, something, was brought to our attention at a Northern Dutchess Alliance Executive Committee meeting a few months ago. And Sarah and Bowden started talking about, well, you know, they have the libraries participate, and the chamber participates, and the municipality participates, and Bard College participates. And I was like, holy cow, that's the blueprint. That's what we talked about in the blueprint. When did this happen? So we took a moment to have Stella graciously work with us to do a little digger deeping into Red Hook Together to give us some examples of what they're doing. So I just want to say thank you. She's been an outstanding participant, so you will do well in life, young lady. I'm very happy we worked with you. I don't say that about every college student I've met. And Erin is the Dean of the Center for Civic Engagement. I've known Erin over the years. Our kids are around the same age and in high school together. Hopefully not in trouble together. And they're going to talk about Red Hook together. So thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Okay, so I am Stella, as I've already said. I am from Bard College, and I wrote the case study examining Northern Dutchess Alliance's blueprint for economic development in relation to Red Hook Together's economic and community development over the years. And I'm just going to briefly touch on each aspect of the blueprint before handing it over to Erin to go more in depth on each category. So the first category is mapping the capacities. While Red Hook Together has not formally mapped its capacities, they have managed to recruit many valuable members of the community and associations in the local area. The second category, building relationships, this has been a key part of Red Hook Together's success over the years, and they have managed to create a strong network of communication among major entities in the local community via that. The third category, mobilizing community assets, has allowed Red Hook Together to combine its strengths of all of the different organizations and to grow more as a whole. And then the last two steps, building a vision and leveraging outside resources, I feel like Red Hook Together still could use some improvement on these, and I hope to see that happen in the future. So now, over to Erin.
We're actually going to just give this to Stella to take care of. She's a freshman, so by the time she's a senior, we anticipate fully having taken on the blueprint as Marianne has required us to do. First, I want to take us back to 2008. Do you remember 2008? Boo, yeah. Do we remember? It was a scary time. Warren Buffett recently said about 2008, we've learned we're all dominoes spaced closely together. And that is really what it felt like in Northern Dutchess. So a few of us were talking back then in 2008, and we thought we should start getting in the room together because we were wondering how we were going to kind of buffer this storm. Can those of you who come to Red Hook Together stand up, just so we can sort of visualize? So this is our crew. Thank you, everybody. I'll pay you later. This is our crew that started coming to these informal meetings. Every month, I would send out a reminder to come, barely remembering myself. We'd get into a room, I'd think, what are we going to talk about? And then an hour and a half later, there would be all of these connections that we hadn't really had before. Suddenly we all started to understand who to pick up and call if there was something that we wanted. And for Bard, also starting to help us understand just what a rich resource the community was for our students. We didn't have a Center for Civic Engagement at the time, and we didn't really understand how much we could utilize the resources in the community for our students to learn from as well. Stella is my example. She was a first-year student in a class that John Becker and I taught last semester, and so that's why she's here today, so extra points for her. We made a mission, so we're an informal group, and we made a mission that was about as far as we got in any kind of formalized planning. Our mission is Red Hook Together facilitates community connections across every sector where leaders and volunteers work in collaboration to harness Red Hook's unique, rural, and creative resources and ensures Red Hook remains a vibrant and inclusive place to live and study. So I guess the blueprint, this is around the same time. We didn't realize this was all happening at the same time. So what do? We essentially get together. Anybody can come. We have 42 people on our email list in Red Hook, and it really includes all of the major anchor institutions and stakeholders in the community, but we have volunteers, we have people who want to learn more about the community who come, and we do a round-robin sharing and resource connecting. So a lot of what we end up doing is saying, hey, this is what's coming up, and people say, oh, I could help you do that, or I could get a student to help you do that. We keep showing up to this meeting, and sometimes I'm not totally sure why. I get nervous every once in a while that people are going to lose interest. And every once in a while we do ask ourselves these questions. What is it that we're doing? And this is something that was brilliant that happened when Mary Ann came. We were all kind of wondering what we should do. We had some new members. We had some old members who stepped out or moved away. And we were wondering how we could continue for the next 10 years in this very informal space without the pressure of having to become a nonprofit and go through all of the legal and financial requirements, because so many of us are doing that already. And Mary Ann came to a meeting and we started talking about how do we want to connect, and we used the blueprint actually to reorganize our meetings and sort of reinvigorate our mission. And the collaboration is really, I think, the key factor. We really began to understand that for community members that are coming in and out of all of the various institutions and organizations in our town, that we need a place where we can get together. There's no good way. Nobody's reading the same social media. There isn't a newspaper that can really underscore the things that we're doing. And the kind of informal space that is maybe something that used to be available in the town square isn't quite as readily available to us. So we basically create that kind of town square feeling in our meetings. And we had a grant through the Red Hook Library, actually, where a few members from Red Hook Together got together and we did something through the American Library Association, through a Gates Foundation grant. And we started asking questions about what do we aspire for in our communities. And that was something that we did. We went around and we did all kinds of community conversations, they're called, and they're organized in a very particular way. And we ended up doing a report out back to the Red Hook community, and this took place about 4 or 5 years ago. And part of what we realized with Red Hook Together is that we needed to revisit some of those aspirations for ourselves, and then also where do we need to go. So we are now doing monthly report outs. We do quick introductions and reminders of things that are coming up, and then we feature a member each month about what it is they're up to. So for about 10 or 15 minutes, the organization can highlight. We had Historic Red Hook come and speak about their plans moving forward. So it is something that we're starting to realize that we could actually use our meeting in a slightly more formal way so that we could understand a little bit better longer-term planning. And this is where Stella's critique of Red Hook Together comes in handy, because understanding and building a vision and leveraging outside resources. So we've really been Red Hook focused. Look at her shaking her head. We've really been Red Hook focused, and that is something that, given the crisis that we were born from, we needed to really think very hyper-locally. But now we feel less in crisis mode and much more in growth mode. And so this is actually something that the building the vision and leveraging outside resources, and how can we connect with maybe more broadly, Northern Dutchess, and feature perhaps in some monthly report outs other community organizations outside of the Red Hook community. So that is something that we should consider, and it is something that the blueprint has sparked conversation around. And I wanted to revisit this aspirations question. 5 years ago, we talked to a lot of people. We talked to people that we might not normally hear from during that sort of walkabout in the village of Red Hook. And so I'm going to make you do a little homework. There's a note card on your desk, or on your desk. Whoa, I'm off campus. There's note cards in the middle of your table. I'm not used to fancy breakfasts. And there's also markers. So there's little note cards, unless somebody stole them off the tables. Stella and I got here early. They're under the markers. They're under the markers. Okay, have we managed this? You all started looking on your phones. You're like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to look at my email. Oh. Okay. All right, everybody, this is class now. This is class. Okay, so what we ended up doing is we ended up as a little crew. Dawn, Brent, Erica and I did that. I don't know, who am I missing? We sort of wandered the streets of Red Hook, knocking on doors and holding open meetings. And this is a little question that we asked of people. So you're going to fill in the blanks, okay? Like a Mad Lib, okay? Like a community aspirations Mad Lib. All right, you ready? So you just have to write down the words. You don't have to write down the whole thing here. But my hope is to live in a community where... fill in the blank. Your aspiration for your community. So you fill that in. No laughing. It's not allowed.
Can we read Mark's?
We're going to give this all to Mark at the end of the day. It's like his marching orders. All of our elected officials, yeah. However, right now we face, what's your challenge? So that's the next fill in the blank. So, however, right now we face, and what's your challenge in your community? All right, and then the last sentence is, in order to get there, to your aspiration, as a community, we need to, and what needs to change? That's the last part. There's a lot of laughing over there. I'm moving to your town.
It's the coffee.
It's the coffee. Hyde Park, we're coming to Hyde Park next. We're on our way. We're driving down there right now. Sewers, ugh. Brent. Yeah, we know that's Brent's answer. Does anybody, just really quickly, does anybody want to share what they... Hyde Park, I guess Hyde Park wants to share. Do you want to share? Okay.
So I want to live in a community that has a worship sewer.
Let's hear it for sewers.
What was the second question? What do I need to get there? Money.
I see. Okay. For Father Fred. Okay, sewers and money for the sewers. That's what aspirational thinkers. Exactly, right. So we did this, you can imagine all of the information that we collected by our community, and we realized that we all really sort of actually, I guess, want the same thing, because Red Hook wants a sewer too. Tivoli needs a sewer. But one of the things that we found is that absent the money for a sewer, there are still lots of ways that we can influence cheaply, can influence our community. I think Red Hook together as a form of, as a kind of open connection around positive aspirations, that we do understand that we face challenges, that some of the challenges are farther out in addressing, but in the short term and the maybe midterm, there's lots of ways that we can make connections. And that's really what the organization does. It's as simple as that. It's sort of like not much, you know how when you when you want comfort food, sometimes like toast with butter is like really good comfort food. Like we're sort of the toast with butter. It's not like there's no complicated recipe or anything. I don't cook, so this is why. But that's right. That's my default. So this meeting is a little bit like that. It is a little bit like the toast with butter. And these are all of the organizations that are represented. And various offices at BARD that are represented as well. So it is kind of amazing that these groups gather almost monthly for a gathering. We started getting more members though recently when we reintroduced lunch, so just saying. Sarah? Yeah. Yeah, so we have 2 more minutes, Marianne said. So we do a lot of sharing calendars. We have, I wrote that down, hold on a second, and I must have skipped over it. But we've had the Easter egg hunt that comes out of the library, a lot of STEM outreach. We've had MLK Day of engagement with e-waste collection, repair cafe, lots of programming at Hardscrabble Day, lots of talks and programs at Hardscrabble where we're doing a lot of, at the Almendorf, where we're doing a lot of collaborative organizing, supporting each other's events, creating events, the Chocolate Festival, things that are really starting to emerge in town as sort of these traditions where we kind of gather and say, oh, I can do this, I can help sponsor that, I can provide some resources, I can find volunteers, I can find music, I can, all the various things that we bring to the table in terms of resources. When we talk about planning and organizing, members kind of step in and say, these are the ways in which I can help. And it kind of gets it done quickly so that you're not having to do the going individually to every organization, different days of the week to ask. And it's also been really interesting now that we have our community center in Red Hook, which is new as of about a year and a half ago, where that's also been a great forum for us to do lots and lots of programming and connecting around that programming. And it seems to just grow once somebody hears that something's happening, and then we can make those connections. It's also, you can't underestimate, I know who to call. I can pick up the phone. So if I hear about something, I know how to make those connections. And if we weren't getting together, I'm not sure I would actually know that. So I'm cut off.
All right, thank you very much. That was terrific to hear about. I think these were 2 great examples of how you can use the blueprint in your own community to influence the outcome of your future by using the folks within your community to do that. And I think that is very powerful, and I hope all of our communities will think about doing that moving forward, continuing to do that moving forward. I'm sure it's happening in some of your communities. Just kind of flush it out and figure out who those folks are. All right, my friend, my pointer is done. All right, so we have a real quick, I call this the most informal, formal vote that we need to take here with the Northern Dutchess Alliance, and that is the elections of our officers. I have the folks listed here. We have Melody Moore as Vice President, Ray Oberly as Treasurer, Ellen Henenberry as Secretary. Thank you, Ellen. That was huge. Brent Kowalczyk is our local government representative. We have Bill Jeffway as our institutions representative. We do have an open seat for any of you chamber folks, business folks who maybe want to think about it. You don't have to tell us today, but we will come find you at some point. So if I could get a motion from someone.
Are you entertaining nominations from the floor?
I don't know. Is it you? No.
It's Kim McGrath. Red Hook Chamber.
Kim is shaking her head like, what is he, crazy? We can talk later, Kim. We do not have to have that today. But I did hear a motion. Do I have a second? Second, terrific. All in favor? All right, we have new officers. We're moving on. Or the same officers, I don't know. So this is our most important time of our program. Hang on, I just want to make sure I find my right paperwork here. Where we are giving out our awards. And I am so upset that I just found out John's nickname is Mr. Hyde Park today. I would have put that up there for you, John. I like that. So the Commitment to Community Award goes to the person or organization who has consistently demonstrated a long-term devotion and dedication to their community. The award represents leadership in achieving community goals and for fostering regional cooperation. We've had quite a long list of past winners, including Senator Steve Salan, Sally Mazzarella, the Winnicke Land Trust, Sid and Beth Mead. Oh, Mark Molinaro's on this list. Look at that. Northern Dutchess Hospital, Bard College, Dave Teeter. It's quite an impressive list. And today I am happy to bring up Supervisor Aileen Rohr and our State Senator Sue Serino to talk a little bit about John and to congratulate him for this wonderful award. Race to the mic. Here we go.
Well, let Sue go first.
All right, Sue.
Thank you. And you know, a few years ago, the New York Times called me. I don't know, John, do you remember that? They called and they wanted to come up to Hyde Park and they wanted to talk to me. And I said, no, you don't want to talk to me. You want to talk to Mr. Hyde Park. So John was gracious. He sat down with them, and what a great story. They really did a good job, and it was all because of John's history in Hyde Park and all of his wonderful connections. And I think we can all say we all love John and Gloria and family. They're just an institution, so I can't thank you enough, and this award is definitely well-deserved. So thank you.
Well, well, good morning, everyone. And yes, it really is an honor to be here and to be able to present this award to John Golden and his wonderful wife, Gloria. So, John, you know, what do we say? You're our town father. And, you know, when people think of father, what do they think? You know, someone kind, loving, strong, wise. John, you are that, and you're that to the whole town. And, you know, I'm just kind of inspired being here, listening to everyone and talk about their communities. And that's really one of the fabulous things about being in government is the people that rise to leadership positions, whether they're in the private sector or the public sector in government. It's people that are passionate about their communities. And John certainly is that. You know, he's donated land to the town of Hyde Park for our schools. I found out this morning, back in the 70s when we needed, or 60s, I suppose, when we needed a new high school. He was the first graduate of the high school at Haviland, where the school that FDR built. Is that correct, John? Yeah, yeah. So, some of the other wonderful things he's done is he purchased a theater organ for our high school, so you can see he's always there for the school community. He's donated land to the town for our beautiful police court facility. And he does a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't even know for sure what they are. But they are all to support our community. And, you know, a lot of people think of Hyde Park as, you know, well, we have these historic assets and you know, that's what defines us. But really it isn't. It's this amazing community led by this amazing man. And we just love John so much, and Gloria too. And it's really an honor. So thank you, John, for all you do. We love you, God. Just say.
Congratulations.
And I did forget to say, he's an amazing storyteller.
It's just lovely to be in Northern Dutchess again. A lot of old friends, a lot of new friends, a lot of good folks up here in Northern Dutchess. Nice to have Sue with us. Sue, gee, you know, when I was a child in the 20s, I'm 95 now, when I was a child, you know, we had a state senator from Hyde Park back in those days. I think you're following pretty good footsteps. And Mark, where's Mark? Mark, you like to talk about Dutchess County. I'll tell you, when you come to Hyde Park, we have two folks here, Sue and myself, that love to talk about Hyde Park to you here. We happen to love Hyde Park. But I had a call about 3 weeks ago from Ellen, and Ellen asked me if I'd come to a breakfast. I wasn't quite sure where it was going to be or what it was going to be about, and I said, that sounded like a pretty good invitation, I'll come. But 2 or 3 days later, gee, I got up one morning, and my wife's helper happened to show up at our house at the time. I was out leaving to go to the gym down to the Heart Center for a workout, then go to work. And she said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to work out. And she said, no, you're not. There's something wrong with you. And I said, no, get out of my way. I want to get out of here. I want to go. And she said, you're not going. So she finally called my daughter and son-in-law. And within about 2 minutes, the ambulance showed up. And they took me away down to take me to Vassar there. I'd had a stroke on the left side. My speech was all garbled, and I really didn't quite know what I was about. So they took me down there, and I was waiting to get sent up to a room, and gee, about 2 hours later, the ambulance comes down from Hyde Park, and my wife's in the ambulance. I guess we've been married almost 70 years, and I don't know whether she didn't want me to be away from her, or she thought she wasn't feeling too well. Something happened anyway, and they called the ambulance for her. So we go down there, and we spent 3 or 4 days in Vassar Hospital, and it was a welcome stay. I think they fixed us up, so we're kind of with it up here now. But you know, we were a strange couple down there. I don't think they've ever had anybody that had been married roughly 70 years come down there and share the same room down at Vassar Hospital. So the nurses kept coming in for days. You better go in and see that old couple in there. There's not too many people around like them. They've been married around 50 years. But I do like to tell stories, but Mark, I could go on for days and days talking about Hyde Park and how it used to be and how it is today. So it's better today because of you. But this really award should be about my wife. It's not really about me. She grew up in a clergy family, and they were used to caring for others. I grew up in the 20s when you didn't have too much thought about caring for others. You just cared for yourself in those days. But she, I think, maybe a little bit rubbed off, and maybe it's the golden rule. I don't know, but it's really an award for both of us, not just John Golden. So thank you very much for all coming. Thank you.
You're the best, John.
Thank you so much, John. I have a plaque for you to take with you.
I think this round of applause goes for Gloria as well. Thank you for being here today. I think we're all very fortunate to have you here with us, John. That's quite a story you just told us. You were quite an inspiration.
I think I'm back to normal, sort of. Sue?
Oh, we're going to do a picture now.
Take a picture.
Oh, okay.
John, hold the plaque out.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
Not quite normal yet. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue has a citation here, and we have one from Dee Dee as well.
Yes, yep. And John, this is just a certificate of recognition for commitment to the Community Award in recognition and celebration of being honored at the Northern Dutchess Alliance annual breakfast with gratitude for your dedicated service to the local community. And we love you, as Aileen said. And I also have a certificate from Dee Dee for you as well, from the New York State Assembly.
Oh,
so you have both. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
You're a great gal. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He was on his way to go work out. I'm feeling like a slacker this morning. All right. Pointer. Thank you so much. All right, hang on a second. I have to get this very special award out. We call this our Windshield Award. I'm going to put it over here so I don't break it. Charting our course. Hang on a second. Let me get organized. The Charting Our Course Award is for the person or organization that has provided a regional vision consistent with NDA's mission or has partnered with members of the Northern Dutchess community in pursuing their organizational goals. Past winners of this award include the Dutchess County Environmental Management Council, Sustainable Hudson Valley, the Red Hook Central Schools Food Service for bringing, that's another plug for my job, locally grown food into the food service for the kids. Omega, Dutchess County Ag Society, the Dutchess County Planning Federation, and this year I am very pleased to announce that the award is going to the Hudson River Estuary Program. There's quite a long list of things that they have done. More than 30 years, Fran? 30 plus years. 30 plus years, the Hudson River Estuary Program has helped people enjoy, protect, and revitalize the Hudson River and its valley. The program focuses on the tidal Hudson in the adjacent watershed, from the Federal Dam at Troy to the Verrazano Narrows in New York City. The program provides grants and restoration projects, education, research, and training, natural resource conservation and protection, along with community planning assistance. They work off an action agenda, and that relies on partnerships, one of the tenets of the Northern Dutchess Alliance, we think is very important. Partnering with federal and state agencies, local municipalities, nonprofits, academic and scientific institutions, businesses, trade organizations, landowners, and dedicated volunteers. Over the past 30 years, they have dramatically improved the water quality in the Hudson River estuary, and I think we can all thank them for that very much. They've awarded more than 495 grants to municipalities and nonprofits. They have protected more than 61,000 acres of scenic vistas, habitats, and landscapes here in the Hudson Valley. I've got more. They've restored fish populations, provided river education to school children. Who hasn't gone out and seen an eel yet? You should certainly go do that. Trained more than 7,000 community leaders, established a network of new and upgraded parks, installed monitoring equipment that reports real-time river conditions, and I think these days, given the weather and the floods and whatnot, this is critically important. Mapped the entire river bottom. I actually have a map of that hanging in my office. I love that map. Planted more than 43,000 native trees and shrubs, and assisted communities that have taken the Climate Smart Pledge. I am sure that many of you in this room have had an interaction with the Hudson River Estuary Program. If you've not had an opportunity to go out and meet a salamander on a cold, rainy night in the spring, you are missing out on a really fantastic opportunity. You know, you're out there, it's dark, it's cold, it's rainy, you've got your reflective vest on, and you're looking for some little critter crawling across the road. I have done that for a number of years. It is like one of my favorite things to do in spring. My family continues to go with me. I bring different people every year, anybody who's interested in going. I'm taking Melody this year, she hasn't done it. And it will change your life. So I want to bring up Fran Dunwell and Laura Heedy and congratulate them for you know, just a fantastic job here in the Hudson River Valley.
Thank you so much. Well, I guess I don't need to go over the things that we do. Come on up, Laura. And I know everyone's eager to get out on time. I just want to say I grew up in Dutchess County in the town of Poughkeepsie. My first job after college was in 1975 working for the Dutchess County Environmental Management Council based in Millbrook, a cooperative extension. Some of the people that you mentioned, Dave Teeter, Bill Hogan, were my early mentors, and Sally Mazzarella was one of the very first people I met. At the time, she was getting training from Cooperative Extension on how to manage land use in Rhinebeck to create and preserve community character. So these are my early formative experiences that have really stayed with me for a lifetime, really learning to love and appreciate the history and nature of the Hudson Valley. And in the job I have now, being able to take that love and passion for the history and beauty and nature of the Hudson Valley and help people like you preserve it. There are a lot of things that the Department of Environmental Conservation can't do. We're a regulatory agency for the most part. We tell people, you know, or you can't build here, you have to build the sewer pipe, you can't poach fish. There are a lot of things you can't do. Our program is really based on helping people, empowering local people to preserve the rural character of the Hudson Valley through things that can be done through local home rule. And today we're especially honoring Laura Heedy, who is running our amphibian migration program. She's going to speak about that for a moment. But I just wanted to also give a quick shout out to Senator Serino and Representative Dee Dee Barrett. Our program is supported entirely from the New York State Environmental Protection Fund. And a line item in that EPF budget provides grants that we do, it provides staff support, pays for Laura's salary, among others, enables us to do the outreach to communities that we feel is so valuable, and enables people to take charge locally and preserve what they care about. So, and also, Marcus, been working with you since you were, yes. That high. And real big shout out to you for your commitment to nature and history and the environment. You're the kind of leader that really inspires us, and we love working with you. I did want to say that spring is a really special time in the Hudson Valley. This is when fish that spend their life in the ocean come into the estuary to spawn. They cannot complete their life cycle. Shad, striped bass, sturgeon, herring, they can't complete their life cycle without coming into the fresh water of the Hudson to spawn. It's also a time when baby eels that are born in the ocean come into the Hudson so they can complete their life cycle. They move up the streams on the Hudson all the way as far as they can get to the headwaters to live for as much as 30 years before they return to the ocean to complete their life cycle. So it's a really amazing, unique place. And one of the things that's really amazing, and a lot of people talked about reconnecting with their kids. If you want to reconnect with your children, get them talking to you. One of the things you want to do is a citizen science project, either working with American eels, which are now coming to Hudson. They were spotted in Yonkers yesterday. Or go out with Laura and her group to hunt for salamanders at night on the one night of the year when it's 38 degrees, raining at midnight. I did this with my 4-year-old. She, every year when she sees the little things on the road that look like twigs, she's, Mom, it's salamander night. So Laura's going to say a little bit about salamander night, and then we won't keep you. I know you're all anxious to head off to your real work.
Thank you. Thanks, Fran, for enabling us to do the work we do. And thank you to Northern Dutchess Alliance and to Marianne for giving us this honor. It really means a lot when you're in a room of kindred colleagues, so it's really an honor. I feel like what has been talked about a lot today is connections, and I want to focus on that. One of the things I really liked in your mission statement is this idea that Northern Dutchess Alliance wants to understand the connections, to cooperate intermunicipally, and to identify solutions that benefit the region as a whole. And that really, I think, resembles the approach we're taking with the whole estuary watershed. And we're certainly interested in connectivity, whether it's connecting people to each other, connecting people to nature. As conservation and land use program coordinator at the Hudson River Estuary Program, we're always trying to bring together local leaders to talk about conservation. We're also interested in connectivity of the landscape, lands and waters, whether it's free-flowing streams that let those fish that Fran just spoke about, move upstream, or if it's connectivity of forests and wetlands and stream corridors, much like the project we did in the town and village of Red Hook and the village of Tivoli several years ago with Cornell to map linkages that are now part of the town's community preservation plan, which we're thrilled about. So most of the work I do is with municipal planning, but I do have a background as a biologist, and I still feel very much love for amphibians. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Amphibian Migrations and Road Crossings project, which also is about connectivity, and it has several goals. For those of you not familiar, there is a spectacular group of amphibians that live in the forest that most of us don't see, but they need to migrate every year around this time when it gets a little bit warmer, as we've heard on rainy nights. They migrate to vernal pools for breeding. And on that journey, they often cross roads because of that sprawling development somebody mentioned earlier. And just even in rural areas, small roads, they need to cross. And there's high mortality when these amphibians cross the road. And so one of the goals of the project was to connect people to this phenomenon in nature, get them out, documenting where in these 10 counties that border the estuary are these crossings happening, where is their high mortality, and have them experience that rewarding moment of helping move them across the road to help reduce local mortality. But there's another goal to that project, which kind of goes along more with my other and my major hat at the estuary program, and that's getting people thinking about our planning decisions have implications. And so in this example, where we're putting roads are fragmenting our local habitats, and that's having impact on our regional biodiversity and our regional forest and wetland ecosystems. So again, it's that idea about connectivity and this really fragile and declining group of amphibians that are important to the Hudson Valley and throughout the Northeast as part of our forest ecosystems. So I don't want to end on a low note, because there is hope, and the data that's collected by these local volunteers will help empower them and empower their communities to find solutions to try to mitigate that challenge of this fragmentation. And here in Northern Dutchess, I've been so grateful to volunteers like Lori Husted, who's the chair of the Town of Red Hook CAC, and to Winnicke Land Trust, both of which in Northern Dutchess have helped raise awareness about the Amphibian Migrations and Road Crossings project, and also recruit volunteers to get them out monitoring the roads here in Red Hook and Rhinebeck, Hyde Park, and other places. Hyde Park has great vernal pools. And also, I'm continuously inspired by how much this program has interest from the public and from newspapers and from volunteers. I think people have a real instinct to want to help and to do something good, and I think we just need to kind of spark that energy and give them an opportunity to do something helpful and do something good. Since the project started in 2009, we've had 370 volunteers throughout the Hudson Valley. They've counted over 20,000 frogs, toads, and salamanders on the roads, and they've moved over 12,000 to safety. So that's, I think, hopeful. And so I wanted to end, because I'm the last one, I have the mic, I'm going to end with a little poem to get you in the mood for the spring season. Even though this is about summer, I think you can imagine. This is a poem by Joseph Bruchac called Birdfoot's Grandpa. The old man must have stopped our car 24 times to climb out and gather into his hands the small toads, blinded by our lights and leaping live drops of rain. The rain was falling, a mist about his white hair, and I kept saying, "You can't save them all. Accept it. Get back in. We've got places to go." But leathery hands full of wet brown life, knee-deep in the summer roadside grass, he just smiled and said, "They have places to go too." So I think connections are helping us all keep moving forward together, and so I thought I'd end on that note. Thank you again so much.
You want a picture, Amanda?
All right. We also have 2 citations from you. Sue, Senator Serino, would you like to? She's coming back. I don't know. She's had more mic time than Mark.
Oh, Marcus.
Look, he's coming.
Come on up, Marcus. Fran and Laura, thank you so much for everything that you do. And I'm pretty sure everybody remembers the barges that were going to be on the river as a parking lot. Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett and I, along with all of you, really fought that. And I can't thank you enough for everything that you do for our environment, our river, and our community as a whole. So thank you. And I won't read this. It's short, but it's in recognition, thanking both of you and the estuary.
Can we shake your hand?
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Fran. Thank you very
so
much.
We appreciate everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. All right, so we ran a little over time, and I do apologize, but we had so much great information today that we're going to let it go.